Hello and welcome back to episode 7 of my vanilla Let's Play of Space Engineers. I'm just working on finishing touches on the large grid ship that I have now decided to call my exit strategy. Right, that's the function it's playing out anyway. Decided I wanted a couple of hydrogen engines on here in case the ship is lasting longer than I expect it to and running out of battery power. I have 56% hydrogen right now, which is, I'm fairly sure, enough to get me off of this rock. So let's go ahead and go to my hydrogen tank and turn that off of stockpile. And I've got everything else all set up on here now. So turn the batteries back on to auto. Everything else that I need is turned on. And let's get out of here. I, of course, forgot to turn off my flashlight. That is pretty typical of me. So I've just turned off my forward-facing thrusters, my brakes. And as I fall down to around 60 meters per second, I'm just throwing on the gas again. This way I'm using only what hydrogen is required. Actually, if I keep myself on the faster end of things, above 80, I'll get out of here much quicker. And probably burn less fuel. Because I do need this to have as much fuel as possible, because the first thing I'm going to be seeking to find once I'm in space is a source of ice. There's 4.2 kilometer drive in my little cargo truck to get over to the oasis each time, which I still have that turned on the waypoint. Let's go ahead and turn that off. I don't really need to see these right now. You can actually see the oasis from high in orbit anyway. So it's about 20 kilometers that I need to get away from the planet to get out of the gravity well. I'm already at 0.2 G, which is a full 1 G down for this planet. Really don't like Pertam simply because of how hard it is to fly. I like making spacecraft and aircraft a lot more than rovers. I'm just not that great at them. Far enough out now that I can risk turning off my own flashlight. I did put a nice floodlight array on here to be able to see forward. I went ahead and added the one drill up front as well. I can add more drills to that if I feel that I need them, but this should just be a temporary craft to allow me to build something that's more effective in space. Though at the same time, I do want hydrogen on what I'm going to build, because I think my next stop where I want to go is Europa. I've been wanting to do a Europa play, but I know for a fact you can't start there in a typical game. There's no stone. But even with this ship, if I could just add a jump drive onto here, I could probably use this to go over there and start, because I already have basic refineries to get ores, basic ores, and use those. I've got the basic assembler right underneath the antenna here. Got ExitStrat. And I am out of the gravity well now. So let's go ahead and turn off the Pertam starter. I do know that that is surface, so I don't have to tag it as such. I will have to gather some more distance though to have a chance at finding a comet, and I've still got 55% hydrogen. Let's go ahead and look at that again. 55.8, almost 56%. So I used around 1% of my hydrogen to get off of the planet. That is not bad at all. Let's go ahead and back off a little bit this direction. Aim a little more towards my actual final destination here. Especially since there's a scout drone over there. Let's just avoid that. Let's see if I can kind of... Oh no. Searching for what? You're not searching for me. Go away. One on you. Go away. Gonna try to get a pass by on this asteroid. I don't think he's following me. He's certainly not moving fast enough to be able to keep up with me if he is. And Pertam is still pretty large, so nowhere near being able to find a comet yet. But let's go ahead and see if we can find any ice over here on this rock. Probably not, but I can pick up a bit of stone to get some materials backed up on this little craft here. I do have that nice large cargo container with nothing in it. And the hydrogen thrusters can push the weight. Honestly, I could have probably taken a bunch of stuff from my Pertam base, but I just didn't want to risk burning out all of my fuel before I could get off of there. 1.2 Gs is nothing to sneeze at. Even as powerful as these thrusters can be. Which, for brakes, I've just got 2 small hydrogen thrusters, and it's able to slow me down that much that quickly. So since I'm in vanilla, I only have 150 meters range. On this ore detector, which is not very much at all. I'm used to having far more because I'm usually playing modded. But yeah, I see no ice on here. I'm not catching anything on here, actually. So let's just go ahead and grab some stone and then move on. go check the cargo. I think I want to get, say, about 100,000 stone, maybe a bit more. Because it can be doing work while I'm flying further out from the planet. And since I'm using the basic refinery, if I find iron ore, nickel, cobalt, I can do all of that on here as well. But stone gives me the basic materials needed to start working on building something. Which, you know, there's the question. Should I just be modifying what I have here, finding places to tack extra things on, which very difficult, mind you. I did not leave myself very much room around this that wouldn't be burned. I guess I could add like a jump drive on the arse end back here. Yeah, that could work. It's not going to be burned by any of the side thrusters. Just trying to fly around and see this. It is going to overhang my thruster a good bit, but it could absolutely sit there. That being said, I only have 2 batteries, so I have positions where I could stuff batteries on the side here, 4 more each side. And that would make it to where I could potentially recharge the jump drive. That being said, this thing could be easily torn apart if it's ever caught unawares by pirates or anything. There's 0 armor on this thing. Yeah, I can get a bit more. So, I think I might actually work towards just doing that a bit. Get farther away from Pertam before I decide to park somewhere and make a larger vessel that actually has a proper refinery on it and such. Actually, I can't do the jump drive without a proper refinery. So yeah, I will be flying slowly for a time, it seems, until I find a good location with probably a lot of iron for me to get started with building a larger, more effective vessel. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and pause up the video for the time being till I find a comet, and that's going to take a decent little bit of time because I got to be flying away from Pertam. I do still have, of course, all of my waypoints on the surface, so I'll be able to tell how far off the surface of the planet it is before you start finding comets and such. I just know that it's not close. I've never actually bothered to see exactly how far out it is. I'm going to go ahead and pause up, and I'll bring back once I have found one. Okay, so after about an hour of flight, I have finally found a comet. 234 kilometers from my starter base. And I hit my brakes a little late because I've done a little bit of mining while flying around. I stopped and got a bunch of iron. So I've got a nice chunk of that being cut down. I also had to find some ice because I didn't like the fact that I dipped down below 50% on hydrogen. But here we go. A nice giant asteroid of nothing but ice. A comet. Okay. So I think from here I should probably start putting down a little bit of a platform to work from. That being said, the platform will probably turn into a large grid ship. Don't need that Pertam starter thing up there anymore, but so when I was on the surface, I was doing PTS, so Pertam surface. Now that I'm in space around Pertam, I'm doing PTO for Pertam orbit on all of these. Unfortunately, that iron I had found is a very long way off. And I added a camera in place of one of my floodlights on here. So I don't know what that is, but that looks like an ore right there. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I do keep my mouse on a pretty high DPI, which makes zooming in like that kind of difficult. So yeah, I think let's go ahead and base it from right here. So let's come in here and just make 1,000 steel plates. I definitely have enough iron for that. And that's going to take a while, but I can get some of those and get started. So let's just get myself a little base here. I'm going to do a base of 3, a little 3-wide bridge coming out. And now that I have that put in, I can move my ship closer. There we go. Now give me some more steel. Let's see, how far do I want to go out here? I want to give myself plenty of clearance from the Comet. Okay. I think that should work out. Okay, so this will give a little bit of a base to start working from. I could just do a little outpost on here and just change the ship itself, the ExitStrat, into something else, but I think building a completely different ship would be beneficial here. I only have 1 steel plate remaining after that. So let's see. For temporary positioning, let's just do this. I want to be able to use this ship as power on here. So let's all into production and move those to the end. Because then I'll be able to park the ship on here using the connector that I never removed. And use that ship for power. Because it does have the 2 batteries and the 2 engines. And a decent little bit of ice on here already, but obviously I've got a good source for more. You know, you get to using the full-size assemblers with all of their speed upgrades, and you completely forget how slow the basic assembler is. That's alright, though. I'll just remember to put full-size assemblers on this vessel that I'm building. There we go. Don't need those on. There we go, that is good. Now this back section here is going to be my manufacturing, so let's just go ahead and get started with that. I do want to be able to put in 2 refineries over here with a walkway, so I'm going to have to make this wider. It is what it is, because right there the modules will be taking up all of that center space. So let's just bump this out 2 more. I am only going to have 2 refineries on here. That should be plenty enough. This is just meant to get me from point A to point B and all the materials I need in between. So let's see. We've got modules, and that'll give 1 walk space in between, because modules there. There we go. So that's the basic width that this needs. Oh, I guess I could have... Oh no, I couldn't have moved that back further, because I still need an outer wall on the ship. At least 1, so let's bump this out 1 more. There we go. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide. It's pretty ridiculous, but alright. Let's see. Right there was a connection point, and right there is a connection point. Go ahead and cut those off, right? Yeah. Okay, so if I wanted to have all of the modules on here but still allow myself a walkway, these might be the more effective way to go. And I could just move them in like right here. Obviously, I have to cut off the bottom bits of floor to get those on, those modules, but that'll be alright. I can use curved conveyors to connect these into their respective refineries, I believe. I believe this connection is up on top on here. I'm going to have to actually get some more materials and get these things all put together properly. But I think I like what I'm looking at so far. So this back here could be used for battery spacing, because that's going to be between the walls and the assemblers. Six batteries, that's going to be pretty, or 12 batteries total, that'll be pretty nice. Overall, I don't need this ship to be giant. I just want it to be able to handle manufacturing and I want it to be able to carry a miner. I'm also going to need hydrogen tanks because I want this craft to be capable of landing in atmosphere. Okay, you're not gonna let me see how tall you are, so let's just place that, and that's gonna be way too tall. Can't do that one. But we do have the new lab tanks. We would have to use several of these to make up for one of the large tanks, but it might be much more space positive. Okay, so it has a connection on the bottom, call that the bottom right, and a connection on the left. So the first one can be here. And then third one would be there. Second needs to go in right here, but I need a connection point for it. So yeah, do like that. And then I can do the same thing on this side. Just like that. So I don't know how much these hold overall. I will have to look at that, but I might have to make an additional bank or two of those. But yeah, I'm not putting a roof or anything on this for some time, so we'll be able to get there. That's going to require a lot more than just iron though, which is all I picked up at this point in time. So I think I will probably go ahead and call it right here and do some more mining in between episodes. Let's see if I can get a good view of this. So the sun's already gone underneath me, which is making that very difficult. So let's just back up a little bit then, turn off all the things, and just use this as my thumbnail this time. Which, hey, I actually got the thumbnail while I'm recording for once, instead of ending everything off, closing the game, and then remembering I need a thumbnail. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit the like button down below. And if you want to see more of what I get up to, there is always that subscribe button. Until next time, have a good one.